I feel really old with that table right there. So I've been around a long time. That table's aging me as I stand here. So as we had the discussion yesterday, I know I'm not the oldest one in the room, so yeah, except for Woody, but everybody else. So yeah, thanks for having us. Appreciate it. Tara and I live in Vancouver, so we had a very nice drive over on Saturday. 10 hours from Vancouver, we saw 5 seasons. We had hail, snow, rain, cloud, and sun. So it was an adventurous 10 hours on our way here. Give me a little context for what we're going to talk about today. Who at their club is using social media? You have a Twitter account, a Facebook page, something like that, everybody. Who at their club is publishing e-newsletters, sending out information to members, visitors, okay, not everybody. And who at their club has a website that they use to market or share information? Nope. Come on, guys. No half-assed arms. Let's go. All right. Okay, good. So that gives me a little bit of context for what we're going to talk about today. Contrary to what most people will tell you when you're at an education seminar or something like that, I have my own cell phone policy. Keep them on. And if I say something good, tweet it and tag me at CK Golf Solutions. So I can reply and I can share it for you. So if anything's of value, put your head down and go on Twitter and tweet it out. And there's my Twitter handle, at CK Golf Solutions. So that was a great introduction, Jeej, but I'll give you a little background for me. So 20 years ago, I was the head golf professional at Rivershore in Kamloops. Then I was the general manager, director of golf at Salmon Arm Golf Club in the Okanagan. And after that was Nicholas North in Whistler. I was the general manager there. And 8 years ago, Tara and I quit our jobs and moved to downtown Vancouver and hung out the CK Golf Solutions banner and started working with golf course owners and operators. And essentially, and I'll talk about my 6-second elevator pitch in a minute. A couple of things that you might not know about me. I was a past president of the PGA of British Columbia. That was about 15 or so years ago. I had a junior college golf scholarship in the US. I went to Paris Junior College in Paris, Texas for a year, and Kansas City, Kansas Community College, where I graduated after 2 years. I realized I was not going on to NCAA Division I, so hung it up and became an assistant golf pro at Kansas City. My roommate was Eric Thorsteinson. Many of you know him, so fact you didn't know about me. I was this is really going to date me, the 1995 Manitoba PGA Assistance Champion. That goes back, that's about the last time I played a good round of golf. When I was 16, 17, and 19 years old, I Monday qualified successfully for the then Canadian Tour, now PGA Tour Canada events. My record is intact. I'm 0 for 3 in cuts made on the PGA Tour Canada, so no need to worry about my playability. 4 other things. I'm 41 years old. This is not gray, it's platinum. So let's just be clear about that. There's platinum coming through. Dale, platinum. I've been married for almost 20 years to Tara, beautiful lady at the back. We've worked together for 17 of those 20 years. So if you want to try something out with your spouse, try working together for 17 of 20 years. Now I have to admit it was a lot better for me when I was the boss. Now I'm a 49% stakeholder. So the roles have changed a little bit as we've evolved. Social media, many of you know, years ago I was doing a lot of talks about social media and it was new and sort of exciting and we were breaking down some barriers with how to use it. How I got into it was we were early adopters to Twitter and Facebook for business specifically. And Tara and I work from home and where I work from, when she gets up to get a glass of water or something like that, she had to walk right past me. And 6 or 7 years ago, and she would walk past and I'd have Twitter open and I was playing around with it. That's all I was doing, was playing with it. I'd have Facebook open, LinkedIn had sort of just come about. We weren't into Instagram or any of those types of sites yet. And she walked by and after a week of this, she says to me, if you're gonna play around with that stuff, you have to figure out how to use it for business and how to make money using it. And that was the turning point where we decided that the internet was gonna change the game of how we market and promote ourselves. So that's maybe 7 years ago. Sales is internet and marketing. They're intertwined. The way that we interact and the way that we do things in today's world is all about the electronic mediums. So a couple questions for a couple of you. I'll pick on you randomly. What's your job title? What do you guys do at your job?
I'm an associate golfer in St. Eugene.
Okay, Case, I know what you do, but.
Director of Instruction and Project Management.
Anybody over there? Sorry, I don't know everybody.
Assistant professional at Windmill Golfer.
Okay.
Times 2.
Times 2. Okay, so a bit of a theme in the room. So I'm gonna say something, and I don't want it to come out negative. It probably will be a little bit. You're all wrong. You're all wrong with your job titles. Your job titles have to contain the word sales. I'm the sales assistant professional, or I'm the sales director of instruction. You have to understand that we are all in sales. And if we don't recognize this very soon in our businesses and our industry, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose big time. Our job is not customer service, it's not any of those things. Those are all a part of understanding that you're all in sales. And sales is what's gonna make the world go round. So internet marketing has changed the sales game. Sales is not a dirty word. Has anyone seen the Wolf of Wall Street, the movie? Right? Yeah, fantastic. I love it. I watch it on the airplane all the time. It sort of motivates me to not be like that. So in the Wolf of Wall Street, the guys sit around in a smoke-filled room with the yellow or the white pages, I guess, back in the day, and they go through and they try to make 100 cold calls a day, and they hope to convert maybe one, on a good day, 2 of those people into a potential customer. We are not selling that. We are selling experiences. We are selling fun. We are selling engagement. We are selling experiences. We are not selling used cars. So sales has a bit of a dirty connotation to it, because when we hear the word sales, a lot of times we think of a used car salesman or the Wolf of Wall Street. That's not what we're doing. That's not what I'm here to talk to you guys about, okay? Why I love the internet. So here you go. This is tweetable, by the way, if you've got your phones out. Why I love the internet. Because you can sell shit on it. That's it. Social media, newsletters, website, sell shit. That's what it's there for. That's why it's a great tool. So over the last year or so, Tara and I have been having some conversations with different golf clubs, mostly in the Lower Mainland, but we've been talking to some general managers and some sales and marketing managers, and we've sort of come up with some questions that we ask. And for those of you that know me personally, I have a aura of sarcasm about me. So I'm going to paraphrase sort of the answers to these questions. So the first question was, how many outbound phone calls do you make in a week to tournaments, events, or meetings that you hosted in the past 1 to 3 years that didn't return this year? And the answers vary, but they routinely come back as, well, none, but I answer my telephone 5 days a week when it rings. So you don't call tournaments that didn't return this year? Really? Your role as sales marketing manager, right? Well, I answer my phone like when it rings. Okay. Next question, do you follow hashtags? Everybody know what a hashtag is? We'll talk a little bit about it as we go on. We can talk a bit more at the end. Question, do you follow hashtags for people talking about golf or weddings in your area? What's a hashtag and why would I care what people are hashtagging things for? You see, Tara likes The Good Wife, and every time that it comes on television, hashtag Good Wife, because they want to create conversation of people who are interested in that particular topic. So I tweeted this morning that I was coming here and I hashtagged Invamere and Kootenay. And I got 5 new followers, all from Cranbrook, that are clearly monitoring the hashtags for the region. And they're following the conversation. Hashtags are important. They're a unique URL to track conversations of what people are talking about. And we'll talk a little bit about the overuse of hashtags too. Question, what's your unique Facebook URL? What is a unique Facebook URL and how much does it cost? That's the response. Well, it's free, and it's a URL that allows you to customize your facility, facebook.com/St. Eugene or / whatever your business is. It's a free URL. I believe if you go to facebook.com/username, you can check your availability of your URLs. How many meetup.com groups are you a member of and how many meetups per week do you attend? Anybody know what meetup.com is? Anybody a member of meetup.com? So meetup.com is a group. It's found more in larger centers, but it's a meetup group where you put in your interests, things you're interested in. So we're members of Sales Performance Meetup, Internet Marketing Meetup. There's one called Friday Drinks Meetup in Vancouver. So you just join. It's free, 100% free. Go to meetup.com. check for your area, see if there are any active meetup groups. It's a networking event. The events are free to go to, and you go to them. They typically, you buy your own beer. That's the cost of going to a meetup. And you speed network. You hand out business cards, and you talk to people, and you see if there's interest there. Typically, you start with your 6-second elevator pitch, which everybody should have. What do you do? So my 6-second elevator pitch is we work with golf course owners and operators to help them improve their bottom line. And if there's still some interest and the guy hasn't nodded off that I'm talking to, I'll move into my 30-second elevator pitch. A little bit longer version of that. We also do strategic planning, business planning, and financial analysis for golf course owners and operators. Okay, still there, hasn't fallen asleep yet. Now I'll hand him my business card and I'll give him my 2-minute elevator pitch, which is just a longer version of that, and we'll see if there's a connection. Typically, if there is, he'll hit me up on LinkedIn or a social platform after that, and we can converse online. But I've made a connection. So if I'm selling, if I'm a wedding coordinator or banquet manager or tournament organizer or any of those things, I'm going to as many meetups as I can possibly get to. Last month you sent an e-newsletter with a wedding promotion. How many people clicked the link? Well, I know how many people open our newsletters. That's the first stat you see if you're using a service like Constant Contact. But how many people actually click the link? So do you know if you put a link into a newsletter using a newsletter service, which you should all be doing because of CASL, Canadian Anti-Spam Legislation, you can monitor who clicks the link and it will tell you their name and their email address. You can do follow-up, one-to-one connection. So that is so important. And let me tell you guys this, sitting in this room, if you start doing that, you'll be the only ones. No one's figured it out. We're all in sales. Very important. Data mining. You guys can read this. I'm not going to read it. This is our definition of data mining, Tara and myself. So we do a lot, or we're starting to do a lot with data mining now. This is really sort of transitioning us into a different phase of what we've been doing in the past. We're still doing all the social media newsletters and websites, but we're going to be using them in a different way in the coming year. My favorite quote of all time, if you do the same thing over and over again, how can you expect any different results? It's that simple, right? Times have changed. We've got to change with them. Can't continue to market and do sales the same way that we've done it in the past. So the processes, and you guys all have support staff and various people in your organization. For those of you that know me, Tara and I eat out a lot. We don't cook. We're sort of downtown Vancouver. That's just the way we live our lifestyle. Brian knows we're rarely at home. We post a lot of pictures of wine bottles and lunches and dinners. So let me talk about the sales process at dinner. We go out for dinner, and typically as soon as our meal's done, the typical server will come over, clear our plate, and verbalize, do we want dessert? Nope, I'm full. We just finished eating. Done. Check closed, and we're out of there. The good server comes over and says, I'm just going to clear your plates, and leaves an open dessert menu in front of us and disappears for 5 minutes. And after minute 1, we're conversing. Minute 2, we're conversing. Minute 3, eyeballs go down to the menu. Minute 4, hey, do you think you might want to share something? Minute 5, yeah, probably. The good server appears and we order dessert. That's how they do the upsell buy. So we're not, again, we're not selling used cars, right? We have to think about the sales process. We ran a test, this is 13 or 14 years ago, golf ball image. We always housed the golf balls behind the golf shop counter. And we did that strategically, and we ran a test because we, somewhere down the line, thought we could use this in the future, and I'm using it today. For 2 weeks, when somebody came up to the counter and said, can I get a sleeve of whatever, Titleist Pro V1s, Titleist Bladas, really date myself, Titleist Pro V1s. So the staff were instructed, and they had to do this every single time, to grab 2 sleeves and put them down on the counter. Hard sell, right? Well, what if the guy says, I only want 1? Great. Pick the second one up and put it back behind the counter. 7 out of 10 times, they take both. 7 out of 10 times. Sales, right? It's strategic. 7 out of 10 times. So I'm at a private club in Vancouver, and I'm talking to the CEO and the sales manager there, and they're saying, listen, we're doing a member referral program. We're giving our members credit if they refer a future member and they join the club. Okay, great, that's a good program. So it's not a cold lead, because the member's already going to vet them, right? They're going to have an understanding of what the club is about and that sort of stuff, and then they'll get passed to the sales manager. So it's a warm lead, right? You don't have to make the introductions or do that, any of that stuff. So I said, how's it going? And they both said to me, well, we're not closing as many as we thought. We thought we would convert, 50 or more %, and it's less than that. Oh, okay. So what happens when you go into the meeting with the prospective member? Well, I go in and, here's our package, and it's very nice and glossy, and it's got lots of pages, and the photos are beautiful. So I go in and I shake his hand and I say, here's our package. And, the responses are lukewarm. We're not converting, like I said, we're not converting as many as we thought. Oh, okay. Well, why don't we data mine them before you go and meet them? So it was Joe Smith, or whatever the guy's name was. This was a few months ago. Joe Smith. So we look on Facebook, doesn't have an account. We go on Twitter, we find him. Joe Smith's on Twitter. Doesn't tweet a lot. Gaps, 6 days between tweets. But then we run into something interesting. 6 times in a row within a 3-hour period, there are tweets like, wicked backhand pass by Henrik. Guy's a Canucks fan. Great save, Miller. Unbelievable. 1-0 Canucks. Go Canucks. We won. 6 tweets in a 3-hour period. So the guy's a Canucks fan, right? So she goes into the next meeting with this Joe Smith guy. Follow up after, ask her how it went. Goes into the meeting. Hi, I'm so-and-so from whatever club it was. Did you see the game last night? That pass from Henrik was sick. It was unbelievable. What a great win by the boys. Hits him in the emotional center, right? Mind the data. Got him right in the heart. Guy's sold, right? She converted him. So you got to use what consumers are putting out there. They're putting out more data than ever before. So when you have that introductory meeting, we were talking about a membership lead yesterday. Data mine them before you go in. Know what hits them in the emotional center. Use that to your advantage. Convert the sale. So we're not, again, we're not selling used cars, right? This isn't the Wolf of Wall Street. Working with a wedding coordinator, we were just talking about this, a month ago. Wedding coordinator. Same thing, had an inquiry, had a walkthrough with a potential bride, was doing a second one, trying to close on the sale. So we data mine. We go on Facebook and we see that she's written a post, and she does Facebook a lot, and it says, I'm down to my final 2 choices of where I'm going to have my wedding this summer. So they're one of them, I guess, because she's coming back for the second meeting. But there's not enough information there to really know what's gonna get her. So we end up going through Twitter and we find her posting a lot on Instagram. And she's posting pictures of the places she goes to have her Starbucks coffee. And I'm not a coffee or tea drinker, but it's the grande latte, blah, 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 with 2 pumps of whatever. So the woman comes in for her meeting and sits down, and the sales manager passes her her drink. Went out to Starbucks, bought it, had it waiting for her when she came in for the meeting. Emotional center stuff, right? Like, so she's jazzed about that. So ends up closing the wedding. So social media sales. So we're going to talk about, how you use Twitter, Facebook, Flickr, Google+, all the various platforms that are out there. So we data mine using social media. As I just gave you the examples, these are just a couple of, so use a program, let me back up a step. Use a program called Hootsuite. Everyone heard of Hootsuite? Vancouver company, billion-dollar thing now, they've got thousands of employees. So Hootsuite allows us to track conversations by keywords. So the keywords at the top, one example is Calgary Golf, one example is Invamere. Now I'm not hard selling on these platforms, right? What I'm doing is I'm trying to find a conversation that I can jump into. So Calgary Golf is an interesting one in this area because a year ago their golf courses weren't open. So there was a lot of stuff posted like, I can't wait for the season to begin. So I can jump on there as one of these golf courses here in this region and say, well, we're open. Want to come for a game? Great spring rates. So I'm able to find what people are talking about, what they're interested in, able to jump in and engage in the conversation. Invamere. A lot of people leaving Calgary tweeting, on my way to Invamere for the weekend. Great. Got any activities? Interested in playing golf? We're open. Tee times available. Not always selling. Sometimes they'll post a picture, they're in Invamere, they'll take a picture on Instagram, put it on Twitter, picture of the lake. So I'll just go on and say, hey, nice pic. Just want to be in front of them. Just want to let them know that we're here and we're interested and we'll engage with you. We're not silent. We're on Twitter all the time. We're paying attention. Now, let me clarify. I don't sit in front of my computer and just stare at this waiting for the screen to drop with the next tweet. I go in there maybe once a day. It takes me about 10 minutes to scroll through the various columns, and I can go back 10 hours very quickly because I'm very specifically looking for keywords that I can data mine. I'm not looking at the broad scope, right? Any of you guys know that have 1,000 Twitter followers on your Twitter account, you can't keep up. It is absolutely impossible to follow that. The thing just moves so fast, right? Your tweet stream every second is populating with 5 new tweets. So in a minute, you got 50 things to read. Well, you can't. You can't do it. So you have to narrow it down into different categories. One more example. So in Vancouver, we obviously track the words Golf Vancouver. And you can see some, you can't probably read that, but some conversations going on about Vancouver. The other thing we track is hashtags. And I touched on hashtags before, right? Hashtags. In West Vancouver, we have 2 golf courses over there that we look after this stuff for. West Van is sort of that community's key tag. Anytime they do anything in their community, every person on Twitter, it seems like, because there's a lot of hashtag West Van mentions on Twitter. So it's pictures by the ocean, it's in the park, it's on the golf course, it's in various areas, and we're able to monitor those conversations. And then as Golf West Van, which is the account that we run for the 2 courses, we're able to jump in on the conversation and say, great pick. Thinking about golf today? Come on out. Got time. One of them's 9 holes. Got time for 9? So we use conversation like that. So hashtags and the overuse of hashtags. I'm going to show you a quick little video of, you see a lot of stuff out there. If you follow Twitter, there'll be a lot of hashtags like hashtag it's really good to be here. What does that mean? Like, who's following that? So people are overusing hashtags in a lot of cases. Instead of using the word Invermere or Calgary or YYC, airport codes are really big. Less characters, right, on Twitter. We're limited to what we can say. So in Vancouver, YVR instead of Vancouver saves you a few characters. So we monitor that. So this is just an example of the overuse of hashtags.
Hey, Justin, what's up? Not much doing. Hashtag jumping cookies. This is working. Hashtag rise and grind. Hashtag is it Friday yet? Hey, check out. I'm brought you some cookies. Hashtag homemade. Hashtag oatmeal raisin. Hashtag show me the cookie. Sweet. Hashtag don't mind if I don't. Pretty good. Hashtag get my cookie on. Hashtag I'm the real cookie monster. Hashtag hashtag I did it all with a cookie. Hashtag hashtag classic. By the way, did you catch last week's episode of Dumb Fantasy? Hashtag quack quack. No, lately I mostly been watching Netflix. Hashtag orange is the new black. Oh, nice. I've been watching a lot of Barney the Dinosaur. Hashtag purple is the new black. Hashtag I love you, you love me, we're a happy family. Hashtag dinosaurs. Hashtag other go extinct. Hashtag meteor. Hashtag ice age. Hashtag speaking of ice age, I just watched Ice Age on Man the other day. Hashtag funny. Hashtag Ray Romano. Hashtag Deborah. By the way, Halloween's only like a month away. I mean, do you know where you're going to be at? Hashtag life decisions. Hashtag sexy ghost. I think I'm going to go ahead and Ninja Turtle. Hashtag gotta be Raphael. Hashtag Leonardo sucks. Hashtag the turtle not the Italian Renaissance painter. Hashtag Mona Lisa. Hashtag is she smiling? Hashtag speaking of smiling, I just saw my dentist. Hashtag bling. Hashtag dental care. Hashtag academy free. Hashtag that's how we do. Hashtag we go hard. Hashtag we can't stop. We won't stop. We run this. Hashtag true place of life. Hashtag you did work. Did let me work. Yeah. Hashtag put my thing down, flip it, then reverse. Hashtag hey guys, got questions up? Hashtag so
I follow a lot of our PGA members on Twitter and social media, and I see the overuse of hashtags everywhere. And so I'm just having a little bit of fun on probably some of their behalf. So let's talk about newsletters. We can at the end if anybody needs any information. I'm not a lawyer or an expert, but obviously CASL, the Canadian anti-spam legislation, has sort of changed the e-newsletter game a little bit. But they're still the most valuable tool. I think Brian might have heard me say back in 2011, 2012, when I was giving talks on social media at the golf course owners conferences and various things, and I'll quote myself here as I said, at the time, email will be dead by 2014. Well, frack me, my inbox is redonkulous. So I was clearly wrong about that. Email is still one of the most effective, if not the most effective marketing channel that you can use. And if you aren't using it, you need to start. And I don't mean blasting people from your Outlook box. You need to follow the rules of the game with Castle. So e-newsletter data mining. Up here, there's a few things I care about. This is the big level stuff that everybody sees as soon as you open your newsletter program. So in this case, 32.5%, 2,500 got opened. Anything, by the way, when you get open rates with newsletters, if you're getting anything above 22%, you're pretty effective. We've got some clients we work with that are in the 45 plus range. That's phenomenal if that's your list. But anything above 22% open rate is pretty good with email. You got to be careful the times you're sending it and that sort of stuff, because we all know what we do on Monday morning. If we had Sunday off, we go on Monday morning, mass deletion, right? You want to just delete everything that doesn't require a response. So never send your newsletter on Monday morning. Tuesdays at lunchtime, Wednesdays at lunchtime, we find the most effective way to get best open rates using newsletters. I don't care about the bounces, the spam reports, or the opt-outs. If the guy doesn't want my information and chooses to opt out, good on him. Carry on. Doesn't matter. What I really care about is the 188 number, which is 7.4% of people clicked on a link from that newsletter. And, you know, we link to different things in the newsletters. There was a PDF. This is Golden Eagle Golf Club as a sample, .com, so their address. 7 people clicked on their homepage of their website. That's good information, I guess. But what I really cared about in this process is 119 people clicked on online booking. Now, if we were way advanced, and we're not there yet, and these guys aren't there yet, we would take those 119 people that we know the names and the email addresses of, and we would cross-reference it with our T-sheet to see if they did actually book. And if they didn't, we would send them a follow-up email, maybe with a special offer, maybe with something like that. High-level stuff, right? We're not there. What did happen is 45 people clicked on their membership offer. Took them to the website. We extracted the data, exported it into an Excel spreadsheet so we could do a mail merge blast, personal, coming from the general manager. You know, hi, we saw, creepy a bit, right? We saw that you clicked on, sorry, not that you clicked on, that you had some interest in membership at Golden Eagle Golf Club. Want to know if you want to come out to the club so I can buy you coffee and explain the benefits of membership. 45 people out of a send to 7,900. It's not a lot. Converted 4 memberships. 1 follow-up email. So that's how we're data mining newsletters, right? Website sales. So web traffic is very important. Websites are really the hub of all your activities. So when you're tweeting, Facebooking, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever you're doing, or if you're using your newsletters without links back to your website are useless. You may as well not put out that information. If it doesn't have clickable links to things that you are selling, how are you going to data mine? How are you going to know what people are interested in? So your website's very important. Search engine optimization, I'm really big into this. 75% of searchers never go past the first page. I don't know about you guys. I don't go past the first 3. If you're not in the top 3 for the categories I'm searching. Now, it's one thing if I search St. Eugene Golf Course, sorry I'm not picking on you, just came to my head. If I search St. Eugene Golf Course, I would hope that you're in the top 3. Because if you're not, you got really, really big problems. But what I want to know is, if I search Columbia Valley Golf, where do you rank? Where does your golf course rank? Or if I searched a term like, if your clubhouse does weddings, if I search a term like weddings, Kootenai, where does your website rank? If you guys put your websites up and you changed your rates for 2015 and you have not updated your website since then, you're going to lose. You're going to lose the internet game. Google bots scroll the web every single day, and they look for new content and different content, and they look for keywords. If on your website, if it's St. Eugene, we're selling weddings, weddings needs to be in the opening paragraph, just the word, St. Eugene, Columbia Valley, Kootenai region, weddings. Somehow you have to work that into a paragraph because it needs to be there for search optimization. If your website is static, the Google bots will stop scrolling you daily, and then they will start dropping your ranking. So you get so many points for various things, right? If your website is updated monthly, Google will drop you. If you update your website, as I said, in April with your new rates, and then you don't touch it again until the end of the season, hello, page 2. Welcome to page 2. You need to be updating your website, changing the content at least on a weekly basis. There needs to be something new. That's why blogs on websites are a great idea, because it's new content all the time, right? Video tips. Every time we can upload a new tip. Words. A lot of times we'll just rework the first paragraph, change the words around. Google bots will go, hey, that's new. I'm going to give them an extra point. Might move them up a ranking. So SEO is very important. Data mining websites, these are just some examples. Everybody that has a website, I hope you have Google Analytics. If not, get it. It's a free service from Google. It's a snippet of code. If you're at all intuitive to this stuff, you can just copy the code and drop it into your website. If you need your programmer to do it, it'll take them less than 5 minutes time. So the cost is virtually zero. You can extract information. So in this case, and I pulled all different client stuff for this, so I forget whose this is, but anyway, I think it was a 1 week period. 26 page views, they average 3 page views per session. Spent an average of 3 minutes and 45 seconds on the site. That's really high. Anything around the 2 minute mark is really good. Anything over 2 pages is really good. They're at 3. So this is a sort of information that your website can give you about your customer. This is another way to look at it. In this particular case, we were looking at weddings. This is dynamicweddings.ca. They sent 64 people to this golf course's website from a link from their website. So we know they're generating some traffic for us. So we had one client, we manage a lot of marketing stuff, phone us and say, hey, listen, XYZ Weddings just called. They want us to renew our $50 membership. I think I'm going to do it. It's only $50. Great. Well, hang on one sec. Let me pull up the analytics and look at it. They sent you one person. I think it was two. They sent you 2 people, visited your website in the last year for $50. It's costing you $25 per person to come to your website. Meanwhile, over here, these guys charge you $500, and they sent you 64 people. So it's more money, but the cost per acquisition is less than $10. So I think you should drop the $50 and continue spending $500 with these guys. Right? Less than 10 per acquisition or $25 per acquisition. This is why you need Google Analytics on your website. This is also a good one. This is a 1 week period. With Google Analytics, you can track social platforms, how many people came to your site via Twitter links, Facebook links, Pinterest, Urban Spoon, LinkedIn, whatever. So it gives you tons of information, and it's super valuable in planning your marketing plan. So this is new. Well, it's not new, it's been coming. Last year something profound happened, and that naturally is changing everything. So if you thought the stuff that we talked about previous was sort of new to some of you in the room, maybe not. This is the game changer. This is everything. And the number of smartphones outsold the number of PCs for the first time ever last year. So to the point about the data and the software using smartphones and tablets and all that sort of stuff, look at those numbers, and it's expected to continue that trend to the point where somewhere down the way we might see the elimination of the home PC. Obviously you're going to still have them for work and those types of things. So why is mobile important? Let me just say, if I go on your website on my phone and I have to flick the screen and I need a pin to click on a link, it's not mobile friendly. So your phones are all on, check your websites real quick. 2 examples here. First one I pulled was Copper Point Golf Club. That URL at the top, google.com/webmasters/mobile friendly. Write that down if you want. You can pull it up on your desk browser and plug in your website, and it will give you a little summary report like this that just tells you if your website is mobile friendly or not. So on the left-hand side, we have Copper Point. I don't know if you're familiar with their website, Brian, Scott, and Casey, and Brian. You could. So as these guys know, on the Copper Point website, all this in the community stuff and whatever, this is all buttons that's on the left-hand side on desktop. On mobile, it converts so that it's all center run. So it's easy to read, easy to click on, no tiny buttons, no flicking the screen. Google gives it, awesome, this page is mobile friendly. On April 24th, Google announced that it was going to start not giving you demerit points on its search engine optimization if your website was not mobile friendly. So that's already happened. So if your site appears like, sorry Grant, the PGA of BC on the right-hand side, can you read the links and see the stuff in there? Unclickable, unusable on your smartphone. So you got some work to do, Jeej. And I don't know, it was the first one I went to find an example. I don't know why, I must have been looking for something else and I saw it and thought, well, there's no way that is. So anyway, everybody got the address or taken their picture? Good? Okay. Mobile viewing. So here's the current stats. This is what's happening already. Mobile and tablet, 35% of people visiting this website. I think this was ours that I pulled this from. 35% of the people are coming to CK Golf's website via mobile and tablet. 65% going on the desktop. That number in 1 to 3 years will reverse. And I think it's going to be more like 1 year. That we're going to see 65% of the people coming to your website via mobile and tablet. So when we talked about the software earlier and all that, apps, push notifications, all of that stuff, that's all part of the mobile push that is coming. So best practices, guys, all I can tell you is marketing, the internet, sales, you can't look at them as tasks. They're not tasks. They're not something on your to-do list. They're something you should be doing and paying attention to all the time. They're everything to grow your business. You have to be doing them. You have to pay attention. That's all I got. Any questions? Information overload? Maybe a bit.
Like Dean and Brian talked about, is engaging our customers, and this falls in the same suit, and keeping them engaged and interested in our product, golf sales.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's just about finding them, right? Customers are everywhere. Like, as I said at the beginning, they're putting out more and more data than ever before. It's how we're using the data. And they're there. And so if your golf business, if your revenues aren't growing or are stagnant, it's time to use the Albert Einstein words, change the way we do things and look at it differently. The world is changing. It's changing so fast. And if I pulled that mobile slide today, it might be 35%, might be 37% already in 1 week since I pulled that together. So anyway, guys, I appreciate your time. My contact info is up there. You can hit me up on any of the social platforms or go old school and use a telephone if you want. Yes?
Just sort of curiosity, is there an optimal number of, say, tweets or communications you put out per day or per a certain time period that keep people informed without going
crazy
over, or does that exist?
Yeah, I think it exists. I think on Facebook, again, Brian would have probably heard me say this a year or two ago when I was doing social media talks. The life of a Facebook post used to last about 8 hours. So I would, I'd post at 8 a.m. and maybe again at 4 p.m. and then sort of the next day in that cycle, because that's how far back people would scroll. But as our attention spans have gotten less and less and less, now the average Facebook post lasts 4 hours. So now it's 8, 12, and 4, and maybe 8 again, right? So up to 4 times a day, spreading them out. You can use timers for everything, right? Like if you guys aren't using timers, Hootsuite has a timer program for Twitter. So I spend Monday setting them all up for the week, the generic ones. Now, if somebody gets a hole-in-one at Copper Point and Scott sends me a picture, I'll jump on there and post it right away. But I've got content all ready to go, different things, and it's not always hard sell. If I see a tweet on Sunday night, a picture of a guy playing, at Copper Point, well, I might retweet it, set it on a time for 8 o'clock the next morning, because I'm going to get better engagement in the morning than I am at 8 o'clock at night. So rather than waste the tweet, with Twitter, the attention span is 20 minutes. So we try to have what I call canned tweets, the ones that are pre-set up and pre-ready to go 2, maybe to 3 a day. Friday afternoons are a horrible time to use social media platforms. Don't. After 1 o'clock on Friday, shut it down. No one's paying attention. They're just trying to get crap off their desks so that they can get on with their weekend. Saturday mornings are okay. Anytime after Saturday morning's terrible. Up until Sunday night, then it's okay again. Monday morning's terrible. Everyone's just getting back to the work week. And then Tuesday to Friday at noon or 1 o'clock is pretty good anytime. And we just know that from trial and error. So there's no science to that.
Over the last few years, what's the biggest change your company's been able to do with the golf course, with your marketing? Biggest change in a golf course from where they were to where they are now. Like, give me an example of a club that using, or is it more about green fees? Is it more about membership sales?
All kinds of different facilities, right? We work with private clubs. They're really, in the private club world, 1 or 2 is after membership sales, but in Vancouver, Capilano's not looking for members, Shaughnessy's not looking for members, Marine Drive's not looking for members, so so that narrows it down to who we work with there. In the public world, yeah, green fees are a big part of it. Some cases, a lot of the green fee clubs are semi-private, so you are also looking for memberships. But I think it's about being more focused and tactical, which is what we're trying to do. I think when we started with social media 6 or 7 years ago, we used to talk a lot about engagement and saying thank you. And there are only 2 things you need to say on social media: thank you and I'm sorry. We've moved past that. That was the day when we all sat around a table and sang kumbaya and tried to engage with each other. Now forget that stuff. We've moved past that. We've evolved. And I think we've evolved because of the data that consumers are putting out.
Would you say like a question like Dean is actually very difficult to measure and more or less trying to stay current in the consumer? You want to talk to them, like how do you know if it's increasing your business revenue specifically? What are the measuring tools? There is visiting your site, but per dollar amount you don't actually.
Well, that's sort of the broad scope question. I think, and I think we're going to talk about this a bit tomorrow, but I think what you need to be doing is thinking about targeting, particularly with the newsletter and the social posts. So it's not a broad, hey, it's the weekend, book your tee time online link. Right? That's pretty broad, and it's going to be to your point, very difficult to measure that. But if I put out a newsletter and I say, limited time, $100 off our membership, pay by March 15th, say this is in February, and I put a link to click here for the special offer, and they click it and we know who they are, and we do some follow-up and we know what the conversion rate is. That's getting into the specifics. So the days of the newsletter being, again, I use the word kumbaya, where we just put out a communication piece to say, hey, members, don't forget our club championship, for example, is next weekend. No, that should have a link, and we should know who signed up and who clicked on it and who didn't sign up, more importantly. So it's being way more targeted with the way that we do things using the platforms that we have available to us. We've been too broad, in my opinion, the last few years. We need to narrow down the focus. So what are 3 key things we want to do this year? What is our facility we want to achieve? Do we want to grow members by 50? Okay, if that's our goal, then we got to gear all our programs around that, put all the tracking involved into it, and at the end of the year, we can measure that. But a very broad, don't forget Club Championship this weekend, that's very difficult to measure. Does that answer?
Yeah.
Close, or did I skirt around it enough?
Skirted around it enough.
Social media-wise, what are your thoughts on, like, you have an Instagram, I understand, like, how many facilities would you recommend using it at your facility, and how so would it be valuable?
Yeah, we certainly do. I mean, the different platforms are used for different things. I'll say this, and I've said this, and it's still true for the last 6 or 7 years. If you only have a Twitter account, don't get anything else until you're awesome at it, till you are killing Twitter. Because you don't need to have all 7, 8, 9 of these platforms. If you're going to be average at them, why have them? If you're not going to be on the space, if you're going to go on your Facebook page once a month and post something, why have it? You're going to have no engagement, no followers, no acknowledgement, no likes, no comments, none of that stuff. So start with one, be awesome at it. I'll tell you one of the interesting things. So I started with all this stuff. I was sort of the social media guy between Tara and I. And we got to Pinterest. Everybody know what Pinterest is? You pin on the boards and all that. And I open up the account and I start playing around with it, and a week goes by and I said to Tara, I can't do this. I can't do Pinterest. I cannot do it. Pinterest, as it's evolved, it turns out now it's 97% female. So we have and I couldn't look at any more flowers and cakes and recipes and that sort of stuff. I just couldn't do it. Sorry, I'm not being sexist with that. I just couldn't do it. That's not me, right? So what we ended up doing with Pinterest, we have a client who's got 3 large banquet rooms and does a ton of weddings, 140 or 150 weddings a season, is we don't post any golf on their Pinterest page. We post room setups, chair covers, cakes, decorations, different ideas. Pinterest converts. Tara handles Pinterest for all our clients. I don't go anywhere near that thing. So, you know, again, it depends. What are you selling? What are you trying to sell? And then you can pick the platform from there, right? But start with one and be awesome at it. That's the best advice I can give you. Yes?
I was just curious, because you're saying, basically, in a sense, you don't want to half-ass it. It's something that you want to be on every day,
Yeah.
every week, and stay up on. So how important do you think it is for golf clubs to have a certain department or someone in charge of this that can really go fulfill and make sure that it's done right, compared to putting it on someone who's maybe not going to be doing as good of a job? Maybe more specifically, having someone trained in social media itself. In your experience, how many clubs have someone that does that, or is it put on a golf professional, someone that's not as trained in that field?
Yeah, good question. Too often it's just put on someone. Oh, he's young, he knows how to use Twitter, let's give him the job and make him do it. And then when layoff time comes in October and he goes to the ski hill or wherever he goes, then their account sits dormant for 6 months. And then he doesn't come back. And then they remember in June that, oh yeah, we got a Twitter account. Who's going to do that? Oh, you do it. You're new and you're social media savvy. So yeah, I see that way too often. I think it should be multiple people within the operation. One of the great things about Hootsuite, and by the way, I don't get any commission from Hootsuite sales. One of the great things about Hootsuite is you can have a dashboard and allow multiple users. So let's say Brian and I are managing an account together, and we're both set up on Hootsuite, so I can see what he's got set up on timer, so I don't post over top of him or post the same sort of thing. And then Brian leaves the organization. You don't have to change all the passwords. You just remove his access from Hootsuite. So I really think it should be multiple people. Timers are everybody's friend, right? You can't do it in real time. I really believe that. I think with smartphones, it's evolved a lot. There's an app for Facebook called Facebook Pages, which is way better than the standard Facebook. So if you're managing a company's page, you should get it. It's a free app. It will allow you to post directly to the page. So you can take a picture, upload it to St. Eugene, or sorry, where are you from? Radium. So you could upload it right to the page if you're out on the golf course, and think that's, there is some real time, or you can, take a bunch of photos, email them yourself, set them up on timers over multiple days.
Golf courses that do it really well usually have 3 people, one from the golf department, one from food and beverage, and the superintendent. Because the superintendent can post valuable information to their golfers before anybody else knows it. And there are a few superintendents in the region that are really good at Twitter. So if you set up groups, you can have just 3 people, then at least a golf person is not always trying to get food information that they don't know, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You can have one from each department, and that those people meet once a week and just talk about how things are going.
Yeah, the social media thing, I mean, that's a whole another talk, and I could go another hour on that, and G just waiting for me to get gone, I think. You have to remember, for the consumer, when you talk about social media, what is boring and mundane to you guys in this room is super sexy to the consumer. So when you're opening up and taking the plastic off that 200th shirt at the start of the season, and you're thinking, man, if I have to do another one of these, I'm going to jump out the window, the consumer's going, oh wow, look at that new shirt, because you took a picture of it and you posted it on Twitter or Facebook. When the superintendent has got the machine after a wet day at the wash bay, and before he starts washing it, takes a picture of all the grass coverings that are all over it and post it on your social media, the consumer's going, wow, real insight. Boring to you guys, super sexy to the consumer, right? So you have to sort of think about those things. Okay? Scotty?
One last one, just a lot of good things to do here to help with our sales on internet and social media. Maybe just 1 or 2 sort of don'ts, maybe key don'ts in the social media.
Yeah.
Your advertising posts.
Well, 2 things. One, if you're using timers, and this is a caution, and use them. If a world event happens, like tsunami in Japan a few years ago, get on there and delete everything you've got on timers for the next 48 hours. Because you don't want to be the guy on Twitter in the middle of hey, Red Cross, donate. Check out the news on BBC, terrible tragedy. And everybody's tweeting this stuff and you're in there, hey, book online for the weekend with your auto post. So if you're using timers, you gotta be aware if something happens in the world, you've gotta jump on and get rid of all of that stuff. We work on the philosophy of give, sell. And what that means is you should have 3 gives for every sell post. So a give would be a photo. Great morning, sun's just coming over the mountain. Gives us something like that. When we get 3 of those in, then it's join today, special offer, push. So 3 gives for every push. Okay, G. Really wants me out of here. All right, good, thanks everybody.